Okay, so this week I'm at Google Cloud Next in Las Vegas. And while there are a whole bunch of new announcements, one of the ones that I thought I would just make a very quick video about, because it's looking to be very interesting on Google's part, is this Agent Developer Kit. So basically, Google is getting in to having an Agent SDK as well. Now, they're obviously not the first. We just saw recently OpenAI release their own full sort of agent kit. We've seen, obviously, over the years, LangChain, Llama Index, a whole bunch of different agents. So it is kind of interesting that Google themselves have decided to get into this. So there's not a lot of details out about this at the moment. I'm recording this on the first morning of Google Cloud Next. So I'll definitely be talking to the teams more who are behind some of this stuff and finding out more details. But already it is kind of interesting. So one of the things that I find interesting in this is just how much from the start they are building this for being deployment ready. So this is not just trying to basically run it on your local machine. Google's taking the approach that, okay, you're going to want this thing to be able to be used in the cloud and running remotely in the cloud, etc. So you can see that one of the key elements is this whole elements around deployment ready, also around sort of building in evaluations for this. So while these things have slowly made their way into other agent frameworks, it is interesting that Google hasn't gone for any sort of preview release with parts of it. They're just jumping in with all of it in here. Now, I should point out that they're also making it so that you can integrate things like tools, etc., from LangChain, from other frameworks in here. And right from the get-go, they're really focusing on sort of like a multi-agent architecture in here, which I think is really interesting. Now, obviously, this is just out, and it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. Literally, the GitHub is just up for this. You can see, I think I'm the 12th person to star it in here. So there's some really interesting things about how they're approaching this. And I do think that clearly Google is an engineering organization. And this really shows in how they've built this. If we look through the README on GitHub, we can see that already they're sort of talking about things like state and memory and being able to deal with artifacts and stuff like that. If we look at the docs that they've put up here, we can see already there's a whole bunch of stuff around sort of tools with function calling, built-in tools. Interestingly, Google Cloud has made a whole bunch of tools themselves, and they're supporting MCP tools, Open API tools, a whole bunch of different things already from the get-go. So this is where I think this is kind of interesting in that Google's had the chance to sit on the sidelines for now, a year and a half going on 2 years, as people have been building these frameworks and looking at, okay, what works here? What do people like? What do people not like here? And they've even built in a system for authenticating with tools, etc. in here. A lot of this is being event-driven in how they're doing it. It's really interesting to sort of where they're differing from some of the other agent frameworks. And certainly this is going to take a little bit of time to go through, build some agents with this and get started. But the idea here was just to get up a quick video so that you can see that this is out. If you want to start playing with this yourself, you can just come and install it. Now, certainly some people are going to be disappointed that at the moment, I think it's Python only. I don't know if there's any plans for them to do a JS version or anything like that. We can see that they've got both a quick start tutorial. Unfortunately, looking at the sample agents being up here, we've got a GitHub 404. So it's literally that early that it's basically been released. We can see that they've got their API references and stuff like that up there. Another interesting thing, just looking at the tutorial in here, is that this is not just supporting the Gemini models. It looks like they're also supporting other models like the OpenAI models, like Claude Sonnet, etc., via the light LLM integration, which shows us that they're clearly building on the sort of pre-made things that have already been out there with function calling, with those kinds of things, rather than just go and make their own whole new thing from the start. Which is good to see, right? That's something that I certainly would be disappointed if it just supported the Gemini models here. Now, that said, it's going to be really interesting to see how well is all of this integrated with the Gemini models, especially things like the new Gemini 2.5 Pro model. If some of the fine-tuning data for actually training the 2.5 Pro model has been incorporating some of this agent framework, you got to think that this is going to have a really big advantage in that their models can basically work really well out of the box with this agent framework. And this has always been the sort of advantage that OpenAI, etc., have over some of the more well-known or the agent frameworks that have been around for a long time, is that if you can actually customize your model to match your agent framework, you can make the whole thing a lot more powerful. So it's going to be really interesting to test that out. It may be probably still quite early days for this. Like, I think even internally at Google, this is a reasonably new thing. And I'm not sure exactly how much they've been working with the Gemini team or had access to that kind of thing. But this is going to be really interesting to play out here. I will certainly make some full videos about this over the next few days, and I'll start to build some of these things and look at like where it's strong, where it's perhaps not as strong and stuff like that. If you want to get started, you can come to github.com/google/adk-python for this and get started. Let me know in the comments what you think if you try this out, what you're seeing as being the possible strengths and weaknesses of this. And like I said, I'll certainly be making some more videos about this going forward. Anyway, there's some other really cool things that are coming at Next, which I'll be making videos about over the next couple of days. Google have released some new TPUs. They're also releasing a really interesting sort of framework for agent-to-agent communication. I think that deserves a whole video by itself. So look out for that in the next day or so. All right, as always, if you found the video useful, please click like and subscribe, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye for now.